Hey, remember that superhero movie where a traditional American character gets put into a modern day world and is faced with the challenge of being accepted by our society and a post 9/11 government? Yeah, me too. Both Man of Steel and Winter Soldier reinvent something, but there's a reason why Winter Soldier works and Man of Steel does not. Man of Steel chooses to change Superman, introduce a new, darker hero for a post-Nolan America. Winter Soldier doesn't change Captain America, in fact it makes a point of keeping him the same. Man of Steel changes the Man of Steel, but Captain America, the Winter Soldier, changes America. David Goyer and Zack Snyder were given the opportunity to reinvent Superman.
Whether or not I'd ever want to take a crack at Superman, I said no.
But Superman doesn't need reinvented, he's fucking Superman. He's caring, charming. Fuck this. I shouldn't have to explain how Superman should be to you. I don't need to talk down to you. He believes in truth, justice, and all that jazz. His focus is never on the greater good, it is on the individual. Superman doesn't need to be edgy, he doesn't need to be angry, and he doesn't need changing.
People are always like, you changed Superman. I'm like, if you're a comic book fan, you know I didn't change Superman. If you know the true canon, you know that I didn't change Superman.
Pop quiz time. What's Superman's weakness? I want you to go down in the comments right now and type it, okay? You have like 4 seconds. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, got it? I promise I'll read every single comment. I'm curious as to how many of you guessed it. It's not kryptonite. Wrong! It's life. His weakness is human life. Why do you think Lois Lane or Jimmy Olsen are always put in danger? Because that's what can stop Superman. Human life is what drives Superman to do what he does. Superman is never about stopping the bad guy. He's about protecting the little guy. That is what he was created to do. What he was created to stand for. That's what Man of Steel fails to understand. That's what Man of Steel changed about Superman. Clark Kent is not a Man of Steel, but a man who cares, a man who will stop at nothing to protect what he loves. People. You, me, us. Superman protects us. And that's what Snyder and company just didn't get. Winter Soldier does the exact opposite. It doesn't change anything about Captain America. He's still the stern and lovable Steve Rogers. What changes is the environment that Cap is faced with. The conflict comes from how classic Captain America views this new post 9/11 America. How he views the Patriot Act, how he views our society that often prioritizes our safety over our privacy. A lot of the internal conflict of the Winter Soldier comes from Steve being a man out of time. Similar to Man of Steel, both Clark Kent and Steve Rogers are alienated. Steve spends his free time visiting the Smithsonian because it's the closest he can get to his previous life, to his friends. He constantly visits Peggy, which not only goes to show the audience just how caring Steve is, but also demonstrates that she is his last lifeline. We don't know what Clark likes to do. We know he spends his entire life searching for answers, but what on the earth makes him feel human? Peggy's Steve's last living tie to the world before the ice. That is until the Winter Soldier is revealed to be Bucky, which on a story level works so well. In Man of Steel, Zod is Clark's last piece of his homeworld, Krypton. It is essentially the last tie he has to Jor-El. Not Windows 10 Jor-El, but the living man. Bucky is Steve's last piece of his home, 1940s Brooklyn. In the third act, both characters are faced with a choice. Stop the antagonists and sever all ties with the past, or try to save them, redeem them, get through to them. But as the man Sam points out,
whoever he used to be, and the guy he is now, I don't think he's the kind you save. He's the kind you stop.
I don't know if I can do that.
Well, he might not give you a choice. He doesn't know you.
He will.
Steve chooses to reach out to Bucky. He would rather
Then finish it.
than be in a world where Bucky was only the Winter Soldier. He would rather die for his friend than let him stay this monster that the government made him. Clark never tries to reach Zod. He tells him things like,
if Krypton lives again, what happens to Earth? No. Zod can't be a part of it. Zod! No! You think you could threaten my mother! Krypton had its chance! You're a monster, Zod. And I'm gonna stop you. Don't do this! Stop! No!
Clark doesn't try. He never tries to reach Zod. Why do you think people have so many issues with Clark killing Zod after tens of thousands of people have died? Because in a good superhero movie, hell in any good movie, the resolution of the conflict should never come down to a fist fight. Even if it's a fucking Dragon Ball Z fight. It should come down to a battle of ideologies, and then some sort of compromise. The best superhero films end their climaxes with a conversation. Spider-Man 2, The Dark Knight, Unbreakable, Civil War, First Class, Winter Soldier. That doesn't mean there can't be punching and kicking and all that stuff we like. That just means the actual conflict, when boiled down to it, is differing ideologies. What's Clark's ideology in Man of Steel? He only seems to value human life when the plot needs him to. He doesn't have any personal connection to Earth other than Lois and his mother. Why does he care about stopping Zod? Why is Zod's death earned? The answer is it isn't. It relies solely on shock value. Personally, I feel nothing during the next snap. Clark just lost his last tie to his home, to his birth parents. He is truly and utterly an alien. And what sucks is I don't care. And I should. I should give a damn about Superman. I've read his books my entire life, but this isn't the Superman I read about. This isn't Smallville's Superman or Bruce Timm's Superman. This isn't my Superman. My Superman would do everything in his power not to kill Zod. This Superman barely speaks. Zack Snyder crafted a Superman I don't recognize. To me, he's changed Superman.
If you know the true canon,
You're a monster.
if you're a comic book fan, you know I didn't change Superman.
I'm gonna stop you.
The struggle of the Winter Soldier is how our protagonist deals with change. America changed a lot in 70 years, but Steve remained frozen, unable to change, unable to grow with the times. He is very much still the classic Captain America. This film brings that idea to the forefront. Should Captain America change with America? That's a better way to approach a reinvention. If you change an iconic character, if you make Batman kill, if you make Superman reckless, then you are misunderstanding what makes these characters successful. Marvel understands what makes a hero a hero. They understand that the basic fundamentals of an icon like Captain America should never be changed. They can of course adapt and grow, but it all has to be within character. Otherwise you end up with a franchise that, frankly, no one cares about. Marvel works because you recognize the characters. Iron Man will always be Iron Man, Hulk will always be Hulk. What changes is not the icon, but the times in which the icon is depicted. Captain America will never change. But America, well, America changes every day. So down below we have a link to our Patreon, which you guys can help donate to and help us at HiTop Films. And for as little as $1 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee and less than a McChicken, or about the same price as a McChicken, you can help support all of us young artists here at HiTop Films. It's not just me who works on these video essays. We have a bunch of short films, we have a bunch of things we want to do. We have so many ambitions for this channel, and we can't do that without your support. I'm already so grateful for all the love you've shown us, but just with a little bit more support, we can get even better. So please, if you could just consider checking out the page. If you can't donate, which I understand, just share the Patreon page, share our videos around, and keep being awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it so much. See ya.